The Lifestyle Show, presented by Selena Mackenzie.
Now, are you a dyspraxic or ADHD woman? Well, if you think you might be, then this first book we're going to be talking about could be for you. To tell us about No Heals, No Problem, a neurodivergent survival guide to adult life when you are dyspraxic or ADHD, welcome to the show, author Maxine Roper.
Hi, Selena. Thank you very much for having me on.
You're welcome, Maxine. I love the title, but why did you choose that title?
The title is really a reference to dyspraxia and the difficulty with coordination and balance that goes with that. I wanted something that would speak to a lot of women, but also speak specifically to the dyspraxic experience.
Yeah, can you explain a little about what dyspraxia is? Because I think we've all heard of ADHD, but dyspraxia is not that well known, is it?
It isn't. It's a lot less recognised. You're right than ADHD or autism. It often goes with both, but dyspraxia specifically affects fine and gross motor skills, so coordination, dexterity. So if you're an adult, some of the signs, for instance, might be taking longer to learn to do things with your hands or avoiding doing things altogether, like household chores or DIY or learning to drive, which there's a whole chapter on in the book. Also, not all, but some dyspraxics have trouble with maths, which I certainly did. And dyspraxia is often talked about as a children's condition. So if your child has been diagnosed, or if you look at some of the signs in children and it reminds you of your own childhood, then that's probably telling you something as well.
And were you diagnosed at school, Maxine? Was it noticed back then?
I wasn't. I grew up at a time when there was next to no understanding of mental health or brain difference or anything like that. I was actually born very prematurely, so and that's also one of the that's thought to be one of the causes. But it wasn't picked up at all. No, there just wasn't the vocabulary or the understanding there at that time. The only brain differences really that were talked about, if any, were being dyslexic and having trouble with words, or being autistic and being a maths genius. And I most definitely wasn't either of those things. So it was quite hard for me to work out what was going on. Yeah,
and I guess that's probably why you decided to write the book, because it's probably a book that you wish you had when you were growing up.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what I say at the beginning. It's really the book that I wish that I had when I was younger. I spent a lot of my young life, particularly as a teenager, a young woman, looking up to older women who sort of seemed to be better at doing life than me. And by the time I had all the answers that I needed for why my brain was how it was, I was old enough to be the kind of older woman for other people that that they might look up to. So it's the book that I needed when I was younger.
And how were you diagnosed? Did you do a lot of research yourself and realise that this was you?
I didn't specifically go looking for my dyspraxia diagnosis. I didn't sort of go along to someone and say, this is what I want to be diagnosed with. I just wanted to understand why I was different. And I was at university and there was a student support centre. And I knew that they dealt with dyslexia, which, obviously everyone knows about. And I think it started with, is there some sort of equivalent for dyslexia, but with everything else? I was brilliant with words. That was clear from a very early age. Like, some people are sporty or musical. I was clearly good with words, but it was everything else I struggled with. So I wondered, basically, is there something equivalent to dyslexia, but the opposite, if you like?
Yeah, and you found it. I know I've got someone close to me that is ADHD, and I always thought it meant literally hyperactivity, but this person's main thing is just losing concentration very easily.
Yeah, I mean that's particularly with women. Often the hyperactivity isn't there, or it shows itself in different ways because we're women and how we're brought up to be. Another classic misconception around ADHD is, we think of ADHD, we think of lack of focus, we think of someone who can't pay attention. What it actually is trouble regulating attention. So it's either not being able to focus or focusing on something obsessively and not being able to think about anything else, which is called hyperfocus. Right. And when someone explained it to me that way, I said, oh yeah, that is absolutely me.
Well, yeah, there's one thing knowing, you say that's you, and I've just learned something about the person close to me that I didn't realise. So, but what's the answer? Can you learn? Can you learn to be different? Or do you accept and say, well, this is the way I am, and then people are going to have to accept me?
Well, there are different ways you can manage dyspraxia and ADHD. I think for dyspraxia specifically, sadly, there isn't a lot of formal support for adults either in the UK or anywhere really, as far as I know, which is very sad. But I found that for me, finding a type of exercise that I could do, either one-on-one or in a small, safe class where people knew about me and weren't going to be mean, helped me a lot. And for ADHD. There's three things that help, which I talk about in the book. There's coaching, so getting support with organizational skills and how to manage your life, which is often how ADHD shows up for adults. A real life example, I had support with organising my book into sections because I really struggled with that. So that was very specifically what I needed. I've been trying to write books for as long as I can remember, but it's not the words, it's not the language, it's the ability to organise the information that I struggled with. So that was what I had. Coaching can also be support with admin at work or home life. There's a lot of different coaching options out there. There's also counselling. A lot of us have spent a lot of time in counselling or mental health services trying to work out, as I said, what's going on. Counselling, once you've had a diagnosis or once you know who you are, can also kind of help you work through the feelings that go along with that. And then there's medication, which it doesn't work for everyone, big disclaimer, but it does work for me. And it was what transformed my life and made me realise that there was something I could do. And that in combination with coaching and counselling has been really life-changing for me.
Oh, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. Because I guess, like you said, it shows in different ways, in different genders and different people. I guess there are varying degrees of it as well. Are there some severe, some mild?
Yeah, I think that's true to say. I think it's also exactly the different ways it affects you. It can affect you differently. It can show up differently at different times in your life. The way it affects you when you're 7 is not going to be the way it affects you when you're an adult trying to run your own home. It's about what stage of life you're at. And I think for a lot of people as well, I mean, for me, there wasn't a sort of big wow single moment. It was a combination of moments, leading up to finding the answers that I needed. But for some people, they get to a point in life where the demands of life just exceed their ability to manage.
Mm. And are there certain times in life, if you get very stressed about something, does that affect you?
Oh, certainly. I mean, particularly around big changes in life, that can be a time when adults are likely to get a diagnosis, or to start looking for answers. I think during the pandemic, particularly, there was, I was in my mid-30s. There were a lot of women in their 30s getting diagnosed, and somebody said, why is it so many women, of that age getting diagnosed? And I thought, well, it's the one age when your difficulties are not going to be blamed on either teenage angst or the menopause.
Yeah, indeed.
But for me, it was I got my dyspraxia diagnosis when I was younger, when I was 21. So it's whatever stage in life you're at, where you're having difficulty coping with what's expected of you. And for some people that can be the transition to leaving home. For some people it's becoming a parent. For some people it's it is the menopause once they get older.
I would imagine being pregnant for a woman probably affects you a bit as well.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Hormonal fluctuations play into it a lot for women, and that was something I had absolutely no idea about until very recently, until my ADHD diagnosis, because it affects how your hormonal fluctuations affect how your medication works as well. And I just had no idea, and it explained so much for me when I look back, and I thought, oh yeah, I could trace back some of the lowest points of my life to, oh yes, it was that point in my cycle.
Yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it? That
time in the calendar. And of course, when you have ADHD and you have organizational problems on top of it, I remember hearing from a woman with ADHD saying, I've been having periods for 20 years and somehow this monthly event still takes me by surprise.
Yeah, and then you stop them and go through the menopause. It's hard being a woman.
Yeah.
You also mentioned earlier about children, and children can be very cruel. They can be very mean at school, especially if, like, you weren't diagnosed as a school child. Do you think things are better now, Maxine? Because presumably everybody learns at a different rate anyway, but somebody who's got ADHD or dyspraxic or dyslexic will definitely learn at a different rate, so they shouldn't be all lumped together in the same class, I wouldn't have thought.
Well, it's about how you support people within the class, I think, and how you teach children to talk to navigate difference, to deal with people who are different. And I would love to think that it's better now. I mean, I don't have children at school, so I couldn't say, but I really hope so. From what I hear, it is better, but there's still a way to go.
Yeah. Well, I think you're an inspiration. You speak very eloquently. I know that you do voiceovers, you're a writer, you do speeches, you stand up, you're very confident. You've also written an Ollie Murs fan annual, apparently.
What was that? Sorry, you just can't.
You've also written an Ollie Murs fan annual?
Oh, yes, I have. That was gosh, that would have been around 2011. Yeah, I did. I used to love those kinds of fan annuals when I was at school, and somebody just came to me one day and said, we're looking for someone to do a fan annual, and I thought, oh yes, I love those, and then I realised it was Ollie Murs, and I'd never seen X Factor in my life.
Oh, bless you! You had to do a bit of research then.
Yeah, so that was a long afternoon of research for me. Yeah.
Oh, bless you. Well, you've proved to lots of other people out there that you can make a complete success of your life, and why not? The book is called No Heels, No Problem: A Neurodivergent Survival Guide to Adult Life When You Are Dyspraxic or ADHD. It's by Maxine Roper, who we're chatting to now, and as always, we're selling it right now on our website, tre.radio. Do you have your own website as well, Maxine?
I do, yes. I'm Maxine Francis Roper. That's Francis with an E.co.uk.
And people can find out more about you on there.
Yeah, they can, yeah.
Great stuff. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Maxine. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.